Hello, hello, hello. Hey, this is Warren Redlick. How are you guys doing today? Sunday Live, we're going to be talking about Tesla. We're going to be talking about SpaceX. We're going to be talking about Twitter. We're going to be talking about a bunch of other stuff. After this video, I'm going to do a second live stream on the Locals platform. There's a link in the description below, and there's a link at the top of the chat. In that video, I'm going to talk about prepping. I'm going to talk about, this is a different topic. I'm going to talk about preparing for apocalyptic scenarios, but also preparing for hurricanes, preparing for natural disasters. And then, this prepping for apocalyptic scenarios is a more extreme version of that, or it's prepping for a really bad natural disaster. So I'm going to talk about that on the Locals platform, on the Daily Lie. I'm wearing the Daily Lie t-shirt. T-shirts at elonbits.com. We're going to talk about that. And then halfway through that live stream, I'm going to shift to supporters only. So you can support me on the Locals platform. You can support me on Patreon. You can support me as a YouTube community channel member. All of those platforms, if you are a supporter, you get early access to some of my videos or most of my videos. But I also do additional content on the Locals platform. I tend to be more political on the Locals platform. I don't think this video I'm about to do is political, but I can say that some parts of the political sphere will be offended by the second part of that video, where I'm going to do, for supporters only, I'm going to talk about an aspect of prepping that a lot of people aren't comfortable with. So before I'm not going to go into that anymore right now. I want to go into Tesla first. Let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla news. Tesla deployed the biggest operational energy storage system in continental Europe, 40 megapack units. They say this system has 50 megawatts of power and 100 megawatt hours of capacity. That's not as big as I would have expected. I believe this is the previous generation Megapack, because the current generation Megapack is if I'm not mistaken, it's 4 megawatt hours per Megapack. So that would be, 160 megawatt hours, not 100 megawatt hours. I think this is the previous generation Megapack. It's, important to help back up the grid in European countries as well. I think as we go forward, we're going to start seeing Tesla deploying more of the updated Megapack units, which provide more backup for the grid. And before I dive any further into this, I do want to acknowledge one of the other advantages of being a supporter on these platforms is you get to ask questions in advance of like I know there's a chat going on right now on the side of the screen, but I give my Patreon, Locals, and YouTube community channel members an opportunity to comment ahead, provide questions or thoughts. So James asks your thoughts on Rivian surviving 2023. I think Rivian has no problem surviving 2023. There's Lucid Motors, which is, Elon says they're not long for this world. I was surprised by that Elon would say that. I've been predicting Lucid's demise for a long time. Rivian raised a huge cash pile in their IPO. It's like the biggest difference between Rivian and Lucid. There's some key differences between Rivian and Lucid. And I saw Rivian 2 nights ago at a place called Groundswell in Melbourne. It's a startup community. And there's a guy I met, I have his name off the top. It's Derek Blankenship, I think, owns a Rivian R1T. And he's an entrepreneur based out of this. He's an entrepreneur and he's associated with Groundswell Startups. And he had a Rivian R1T. We were checking it out. So there's 2 key differences. There's probably more than 2 key differences, but there's 2 key differences I can say. One, Rivian raised $16 billion in cash in their IPO. Lucid only raised $4 billion in cash in their SPAC merger. So Rivian has a much larger cash pile. Number 2, Rivian is pursuing the very popular segments of pickup trucks and SUVs, and a niche within that of strong off-road capability and also looking very cool. And it's probably the best electric pickup truck on the market, and not SUV because of Tesla SUVs, but maybe the best off-road electric SUV on the market today in the R1S. And they're working on doing SUVs and pickup trucks that are less expensive than the ones they have now. This thing's like a Swiss Army knife. There's so many features on this thing. It's like way too complicated to manufacture. They're going to have trouble. They're going to have trouble getting their costs down on the current vehicle, but they're already using their cash pile to develop the next vehicle that will be much less expensive to produce. So I don't think Rivian has a problem in 2023. I don't think Rivian has a problem in 2024. Their cash pile is so big that Rivian should survive well into 2023, 2024. Lucid is running out of cash in 2023. The only way they survive is the Saudis bail them out. The only way and Lucid's had this other problem. And sorry, Lucid number one, doesn't have the cash pile, and number two, they chose the luxury sedan segment, which is a much smaller segment than pickup trucks and SUVs. Lucid is now discounting their vehicles. The vehicles that they bragged about having orders for, they now can't get people to take delivery. It's $154,000 Lucid Air Grand Touring, and they're discounting them like 10. They're asking people to buy them with a 10% discount. These things cost them like $2 million a unit to make, and they can't sell them for $150,000. So they're trying to sell them for under $140,000, and people still don't want them. They're about done. You know, if you're the Saudis, I think what's going to happen is they're going to go bankrupt, and the Saudis are going to buy them out of bankruptcy and take them private and maybe just focus on their factory in Saudi Arabia and not even worry about the U.S. I don't know what the plan is there. I am a Lucid shareholder. I do own one share of Lucid. So, but yeah, but regarding the question, Rivian's cash pile is enough to get them well into 2024 and probably into 2025. And, you know, as long as they produce vehicles in volume, which they're doing, they're getting some revenue in. I think they're still losing money on each vehicle, but as they ramp volumes, their loss per vehicle is going to go down, and they should be able to generate enough revenue to keep going. And then hopefully they'll get their next generation vehicle done by the end of 2024 and be selling that where they can actually make a vehicle at a profit. Or they can come up with versions of the R1T and the R1S that aren't so complicated, that aren't so feature laden, that it's not so expensive to manufacture them. And maybe they can at least break even on their R1T and their R1S. I think that's a ways off. I am not a secret Lucid bull, and I will not accept any invites to a Saudi consulate. So, all right, so that's that. Oops. What did I do? No. Okay. So, getting back to Tesla, the other news is, and this mega pack thing is important. I just want to say mega pack is important because, let me just address this really quick. Mitchell says Rivian's costs are out of control. They lose money the more they sell. Yes, that's true. Excuse me. It is true that while they're losing money per car, they're going to lose more the more they sell. If they can ramp their production and manage to produce more efficiently, they lose over time. They lose less money per car that they sell, and maybe they get close to break even. But you have to produce a really high volume to make that work, and it's open question whether if they get to high volume, can they get to sufficient volume that they can produce enough vehicles and get their economies of scale to where they're at least breaking even. I don't think so with the current generation vehicle. I think the strategy is to get the next generation vehicle up and running as quickly as possible because that's the one they can make money on. That's my theory on it. And also they're going to make money on the Amazon delivery vans. They probably have a deal with Amazon where they'll make a profit on those. A small profit. But this mega pack thing is important because Tesla Energy is supposed to grow 150 to 200% a year. I think it was a year, not a quarter. Megapack is going to start growing really fast with the next generation Megapack that's using lithium iron phosphate instead of nickel. Thank you, Mark Plott. We're going to talk about Twitter files later in this video. I'm going to do Twitter files in this video because it appears we can now talk about the things that Twitter files talk about because the All In Pod just talked about them. It appears I'm not going to get censored. We'll see if I get censored. I'm going to talk about the same stuff that the All In Pod is talking about. If they're not getting censored, I shouldn't get censored, but we'll see. I'm going to risk it and talk about that here rather than talking about that on Locals. If I do get censored, that's just going to push me to do more content on the Locals platform. That's the end result of that. So we're giving YouTube a shot here, and I probably will talk about the Twitter files more on the Locals platform later on the Daily Lie. Again, Daily Lie, the Daily Lie, elonbits.com for the shirts, warrenredlick.locals.com for the link. There's a link in the description below for today's video, and there's a link at the top of the chat for today's video. The other decent news for Tesla is one other thing I'm going to talk about, or a couple other things I'm going to talk about for Tesla, but Tesla is now about to start selling cars in Thailand. It's important. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Thailand is not a huge car market. You know, you go China, US, Japan, and Europe, those are the big car markets. Thailand is a much smaller car market. It doesn't hurt. You want to get everywhere you can, but the Thailand is not a wealthy country. It's a decent population, but it's just not a wealthy country. The demand for vehicles as expensive as Tesla sells is just small. So it'll be thousands of vehicles, maybe tens of thousands of vehicles. Thank you, James, for your support. Another share of Lucid, sell it Monday. I'm not selling my Lucid. It is down, by the way, on Lucid. Lucid stock is now down below $10 a share, which is a watershed because it's under $9 a share. Lucid, people who bought in before the SPAC merger bought into CCIV and they paid $10 a share. So it's now less than what those people paid in. There's people who paid $70 a share at some point. I think it peaked at $70 a share. So Lucid has really tanked. And you can't sell if you're selling stock to raise money, but your stock is trading below $9 a share when it was trading at 50. You're just incredibly dilutive. There's no good way out of this. Tesla in Thailand is same price as Camry. Interesting. I'll take your word for that. All right. So the other thing I wanted to talk about. So the other big news this week was about Tesla China. There's this variety of FUDs. I'm holding my Lucid stock so I can have a shot at attending a shareholder meeting if there ever is a shareholder meeting again, if they don't collapse before the shareholder meeting. So there was a lot of, I'm going to call it FUD this week, a lot of discussion about whether Tesla China is reducing production. Tesla said that was false. There's questions about China demand. There's question about discounts in China. And Dave Lee, here pointing out that Tesla China denied media reports of an output cut at the Shanghai plant. And then I wanted to go to Sawyer Merritt. Let me do the next one here. Sawyer Merritt points out that Tesla delivered 62,493 vehicles in China in November, 10% share of the NEV market. Giga Shanghai delivered 397,000 vehicles to China in the first 11 months of the year, up 59% from 250,000 the same period last year. So Tesla is growing its deliveries in China at a pace faster than 50% a year. So when people tell you there's a problem in China, growing over 50% a year is not a bad problem to have. And Tesla China says their Giga Shanghai factory delivered over 100,000 vehicles in November, an all-time monthly high. In the first 11 months of the year, Giga Shanghai delivered more than 650,000 vehicles. So as I understand it, Giga Shanghai is on a pace to produce more than 1 million vehicles a year. Last year, 2020, Tesla didn't produce 1 million vehicles. Now, one of Tesla's 4 factories is producing 1 million vehicles a year. Let me say this again, okay? In 2020, Tesla delivered I think they produced 950,000 vehicles, 936,000 vehicles, something like that. Tesla Shanghai is now producing at a pace of greater than 1 million vehicles a year, and Tesla has 3 other factories. And Fremont is getting close to 700,000 a year, maybe 800,000 a year. And Berlin and Texas will sometime next year reach 1 million a year, probably the end of 2023. So Tesla's production is going off the charts. This is really, really good news. So buy more Lucid and double down on stupid. So that was one piece. And then the other piece was just Sawyer pointing out that the guy who headed up the development of Giga Shanghai is now leading, at least sort of, he's got a team of engineers and they're at Giga Texas helping ramp Giga Texas. So I think Elon believes that this guy's really good. They're bringing their learnings. This is one of those things they say, I hate when they use this term, learnings. They're bringing their learnings from China to Giga Texas. And my bet would be that they're going to head over to Berlin soon, if they're not already in Berlin, working with Berlin as well. So, good news. Tesla's growing. Tesla's taking the factory that's the most productive. 5 factories if you include Giga Nevada. You can include Giga Buffalo too. But vehicle production factories, it's these 4 factories. So, all right, let's move on. Okay, let me just see if there's any comments here about Tesla. Mitchell Woolrich says the Tesla and Elon FUD is heavier than I've ever seen it. I've been a shareholder since 2012. I think we just don't remember how bad the FUD was in the past. 12 years to produce 1 million Teslas, now 2 million a year. I think we are pretty much on a pace now that at the end of this year, Tesla will officially reach, or I don't know if officially, they will announce that they're on pace for 40,000 vehicles a week, which is 2 million vehicles a year. Gook Wapanzi, yes, you're correct. The 900,000 Tesla production was in 2021. So last year, they produced 936,000, 950,000 vehicles. And in 1 year, at the end of the next year, they're on a pace to produce more than 2 million a year. And one factory is producing more than than the entire company produced the previous year. This is insane growth. I haven't looked at shorting Lucid. I don't know how to, I don't like to short companies. Shorting Netflix. All right. What's my earnings per share estimate for 2023? I have decided to walk back from making short-term estimates. I think that we're going to see at least $8 a share in 2023, and I think we might see $10 a share in 2023, but The economy's so weird. The lockdown stuff in China is so weird. There's so many curveballs coming left, right, and center. Do we enter a deep recession? Does that reduce demand? Does Tesla have to reduce prices? Does that affect margins? I'm not comfortable making earnings estimates anymore. I'm comfortable talking about what Tesla will be doing in 5 or 10 years, but you know, we're facing potential economic collapse, which is, again, after this video is over, I'm going to be shifting over to the Locals platform. I'm going to talk about apocalyptic scenarios, and my primary concern as a prepper is economic collapse. And there's some bad signs out there. So, and you know, we're hearing word. I don't think the Federal Reserve made its decision yet. Did they? Did they raise interest rates again? I think they're supposedly going to raise interest rates another 0.5 point. And there's a lot of people who think they're going to push the U.S. into the U.S. and global economy into a deep, deep recession. And you don't know how far south that can go. And then if they don't do the right things, and then all of a sudden you get inflation, you can end up with a hyperinflation. There's so many different problems. Buy on the avocado and Tesla dips. Interesting. Cute. Okay, so I just want to, and again, the Daily Lie, that's the warrenredlick.locals.com. That's where that next video is going to be. So let's talk about SpaceX. So last night I watched a launch. The launch was Lunar Flashlight and Hakuto R mission confirmed, and the Falcon 9 first stage landed on landing zone 2. I watched this launch. If you check my channel, I don't think it's a particularly good quality video in terms of the video quality, but just to give you a feel for what it's like to be standing on the beach south of the launch site, about 5-10 miles south of the launch site, to watch the rocket go up. Basically you can see everything in this video when the rockets are lit up, when there's an engine running. There's a period where you can always see the second. There's a brief moment where you can't see where the booster engines go out and the second stage hasn't started yet. And you can see the second stage flying away, but you can't see the booster on its way back until you can see it initially when it lights up for boost back burn. And anyway, so I just posted that video just to give a sense of this. I watched this launch. It was 2:38 a.m. in the morning here. I went out with friends and they got drunk. I don't drink very much. I had one drink early in the night. But I, hung out with friends until late. I got back. I walked to the beach. I walked north, about as far north as you can walk. I think Jetty Park was closed. Jetty Park is one of the best launch viewing sites. But I was, 100 yards south of Jetty Park watching the launch. So trivial difference. And it's a great experience. And I recommend coming to Cape Canaveral and watching launches if you can. And this is a particularly good launch because the booster comes back and lands at the Cape. So you can check it out on my video. I'm not saying it's the best video for watching this. Watch Everyday Astronaut, watch the SpaceX official video. But if you want to see what it's like to watch it in person, the only thing I'll say is it's much better with the naked eye than it is on an iPhone camera. The iPhone camera cannot capture how well you can see things. You can't get good quality video in that lighting. At least not with an iPhone, at least not as far as I do it. So if you get the chance, come to Jetty Park. Jetty Park, you have to pay in advance for a pass to get in. If you go to Cherry Down Park, which is really close to where I live, and you enter at Cherry Down Park on the beach, you can watch from there, or from Cherry Down Park, you can walk north towards Jetty Park, which is what I do. I walk into I actually walk in just north of Cherry Down Park, and then I walk north. It's about a 20 to 30 minute walk on the beach, which is a pleasant thing to do. And daytime launches are one thing and nighttime launches are another. But anyway, that's a lot of fun, and I really encourage that. I am planning to have a party for friends. I have 4 beds. I have 4 beds upstairs. There's a loft up here, and I've set up 3 air mattresses and a futon couch so that if friends come, and I just had a couple of friends stay a couple nights. They weren't able to stay for the launch, unfortunately, but I do expect to invite friends. And by the way, there's an Artemis launch. I hate to lose an audience, but Artemis should be landing in about 20 minutes. So, unfortunately, I think the audience is going to be low for this video, but it is what it is. I have something, and I started the video an hour early because I have something I want to go do a little this afternoon, and if I start at my normal time, I won't be able to do what I want to do. So, we're doing this. We're doing the Daily Lie, and then I'm heading out. So, yeah, I got that. So then the other thing is there's a launch coming up on the 15th, which is 4 days away, for surface, water, and ocean topography mission from California. That's from California. That's not from Canaveral, so I won't be able to see that one in person. And then I watched this launch as well. This was an amazing launch. I watched this one from inside Jetty Park, but not on the pier. The Jetty Park pier was closed, but Jetty Park was open, and I now have an annual pass to go into Jetty Park. If you're a resident of Brevard County, then you can get an annual pass. And I watched this launch. This is SpaceX launching a competitor to Starlink, providing launch services to OneWeb, which is, I think, affiliated with Amazon, to build so that OneWeb can deploy their own satellite network to basically compete with Starlink. So anyway, this was one of the best launches I've ever seen from a viewing perspective, because it's similar to the launch I just watched last night, but because it was sort of like daylight but not too bright out, you could see everything. With the naked eye, when the rocket went out, you could still see the cold gas thrusters maneuvering the rocket a little bit on the booster. And then you could see the entry burst. So you never lost track of where the rocket was. When you're watching at night, you lose track of where the booster is when it's not boosting. So boosting, burning, whatever. So really cool. And at a certain point, you were able to see the stick, the rocket itself coming down out of the sky, like a tiny stick in the sky that's 20-story skyscraper or something. Really cool to see that. So anyway, Falcon Heavy launches are great, and Falcon 9 launches when they come back to the Cape are great, and Falcon 9 launches where they land out in the ocean. Those are also pretty cool because you can see the entry burn happening like 200 miles out, and you can still see it. A lot of cool stuff. So, all right. 12 o'clock is better with football at 1 o'clock. Interesting. I got to figure that out over time. So the other thing is the Dear Moon Project. I actually applied to be a Dear Moon astronaut. I'm sorry to report I did not get selected. I'm not surprised that I didn't get selected, but I did apply to be selected to the Dear Moon mission, potentially in 2023, which is sometime within about 12 months from now. Starship is going to fly this crew that I'm going to show you in a minute, a crew of artists, content creators, and athletes. I don't think there's any athletes in the actual crew except for like a waitlist athlete. We'll travel within 200 kilometers of the lunar surface and complete. You can see like an image here of the path that they're going to go around the moon and come back. And I think the most exciting bit of this is Tim Dodd, known as Everyday Astronaut, who is live streaming right now about the Artemis mission. Tim Dodd, I am a huge fan of Tim Dodd. I have had the pleasure of meeting Tim in person, and he is just as nice a guy in person as he is on his channel, just as enthusiastic, just as interesting. A whole bunch of other artists, creators were chosen. I believe this woman here on the end, and maybe this woman here, I forget who the other one is. Two of them are on like a wait list, and one of them is an athlete. I think this one might be the athlete, like a snowboarder or something. The rest of them seem to be musicians, artists, actors, DJ. And this is Yusaka Miyazawa. He is the head of the mission. He's paying for it. He's a Japanese billionaire, successful clothing billionaire. So that's kind of exciting stuff. And then this is another nice piece of news. Starlink started providing high-speed, low-latency internet to passengers during flights on the first Fly JSX jet this week. There's an airline called JSX. And I was not familiar with this airline, and I looked, and actually for me, this may be fairly convenient. And it's not cheap, but it's not that expensive. It's like, apparently it's a much better experience than flying a regular plane. And I think I was looking to be like $400 each way or $300 each way, depending on I was going from Orlando to New York or Orlando to Austin. It's to Dallas, Texas. I don't think you can go directly to Austin from Orlando. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. They're probably going to work that out. But, not cheap fares, but fairly reasonable for what they're offering. And Starlink's included. I don't think it's on every flight yet. They're working on getting that in. So, all right. What do I have here? Okay. So that's the stuff I had. Let me look in the chat here and see what you guys are talking. Could I comment on all the media noise about China production being in trouble? I think I did comment on that, but let's just say, Reuters published a story saying Tesla was cutting production in China, and Elon and Tesla said that was false. And this is multiple times now that Reuters has made statements that were false about Tesla. And this is one of those things, there's like no consequence for Reuters publishing negative rumors, and they'll publish the story and the stock goes down, and then it turns out to be false and the stock doesn't go back up. It's just crazy. So, let's see. I'd like to own a piece of Twitter. Me too. I did own a piece of Twitter. I made profit on it. The Angry Astronaut. Oh, Jim Manley making fun of me. He says my head would be mistaken for the moon to be a serious navigational error. My head would be mistaken for the moon. My hairy head. Yes. Johnny says he can see launches from Fort Myers if the sky is clear, 160 miles as the crow flies. Yeah, I used to watch launches from Boca Raton, Florida. I watched a launch from Jupiter, Florida, which is 100 miles away. Boca Raton, Florida is about 150 miles away. People watch launches from Orlando, but when you get closer, they're better. So Jim White kind of comment on all the media noise about China Tesla production being in trouble. What I heard was, and I didn't pay that close attention to this, is that Rob Maurer may have been giving more credit to somewhere between Rob Maurer and Troy Tesla. Like there's some sort of dispute going on, and one of them blocked the other or something. They're not happy with each other about all this stuff. And I think this short-term stuff is a distraction. The media distraction, worrying about the short-term share price is a distraction. Here's what's going on. Okay, let me say this. This is my drama. Somebody asked me to comment on the drama between Troy Tesla and Rob Maurer from Tesla Daily. And I have no comment on their drama. I like both of them, and I'm just going to avoid being a part of that drama. I have my own drama with Gary Black and Alexandra, Tesla Boomer Mama and whatever. Here's what I see. What I see is there's a lot of people who are invested in Tesla, as in they own a lot of Tesla stock, and they take the value of their Tesla stock on a daily basis or weekly basis or whatever, and it hurts when the stock goes down. And in other words, when they see the dollar value of the stock going down, it bothers them. And they feel pain. And they want somebody to explain their pain. They want somebody to explain why they're experiencing this pain. You got a friend of mine was just here, got a pain in his side, thinks it might be, an intestinal issue. He wants to go to a doctor. He wants a doctor to explain what his pain is so he can do something about it. So if you're feeling this pain over Tesla stock being down, you want answers. You want to know, why is my stock down and what can we do about it? And there are people who will give you answers. I'm not one of them. I don't have the answer for why the stock is down. I have theories about why the stock is down. I certainly don't have solutions for the stock being down. There are people, one of them name rhymes with Gary Black, who will tell you they know why the stock is down and they know the solution for how the stock could go up. Russ Gerber's kind of doing the same thing. Oh, the stock is down because of the Twitter overhang. Of course, Gary famously said the Twitter overhang lifted and then the stock didn't go up. Or the stock is down because they don't have an investment grade credit rating, according to Alexandra and Gary, and then they get investment grade credit rating and the stock doesn't go up. They're giving you answers and they're giving you solutions, but when the answers turn out to be false, why do you keep listening to them? If the answers they're giving you turn out and proven false the next day or days later, and then they say, well, okay, I wasn't right, or not. They won't say they were wrong. The Twitter overhang lifted, but it didn't really lift because Elon needs to bring in an advertising CEO or whatever. They just come up with stories. And the simple truth is that stocks are volatile. I guess there's an argument. I think this is probably the most credible argument is the macro environment is down. So the stock market in general is down. And Tesla is one way I heard it described was Tesla is a 2 beta stock. Tesla is more volatile than other stocks. So I think the number of viewers is going down because Artemis is getting close to landing. So if you leave me to watch Artemis, I'll understand. I'll be on the Daily Line next after Artemis is over. So please come back and get the link and go to the Daily Line. I'll be live on that soon. I can see, for you guys who don't know, I actually have a screen that tells me how many people are watching, and I can see that the concurrent viewers dipped. No, I guess we're still up. Yeah, there was a little bit of a dip. We seem to be still going. So when you have this macro environment where the stock market in general is down, Tesla stock is more volatile than the stock market as a whole. So if the market is down, Tesla goes down more. Now, look, Rivian and Lucid are down more than Tesla. Arcimoto is down more than Tesla. The other EV makers are down even more than Tesla. So when you listen to Gary Black and you listen to Ross Gerber and you listen to other people, there's some sort of problem with the Tesla board of directors. And they come up with these theories that, I'm sorry, I'm going to swear for a second. Cover your ears if you don't like swearing. They make no fucking sense. Like, all right, tell me what the board of directors should be doing differently. And I had an exchange with Ross Gerber about this. Tell me which board member. So, I think, what's his name? Koguan Leo, who's one of the largest individual shareholders of Tesla stock, said that Ross Gerber and Gary Black should be put on the board, or one of them should be put on the board to represent the interests of retail investors. Well, they're not retail investors. They're actually institutional investors. They both run funds. They are institutions. They own institutions that own stock in Tesla. They're not retail investors. Now, they might be retail investors themselves. I'm pretty sure Ross is. I'm not sure Gary is. I think Ross owns Tesla stock in his own personal account. And I love, to be clear, I love Ross. I don't like Gary at all. But I do love Ross. I don't think either one of them belongs on the board. And I did a video earlier. I think I did a live stream a few days ago where I broke down what are the qualifications to be on the board of directors of $1 trillion company or a $600 billion company, whatever. And what qualifications do they have? They look good on camera, talking to a screen, talking to people on camera. They both have great experience in the investment world. I'm less impressed with Gary's experience than I am with Ross's, but really they both have great experience compared to me at least. They have solid, lengthy experience in the investment world. Does Tesla need a board member who's got experience in the investment world? And if they do, Hiromichi Mizuno is a board member from Japan who ran Japan's largest pension fund for 4 or 5 years. So he understands investing. He understands the investment world. James Murdoch understands investing. Robin Denholm is involved with VC. Ira Ehrenpreis is involved with venture capital. So they understand the investing world. Really? But what Tesla needs on a board, I'm honestly not qualified to say what Tesla needs on a board, but if you think about understanding the business that Tesla is running, it's not running an investment business. It's running a manufacturing business. It's running a software business. It's running an AI business. It's running a technology business. And as much as I love Ross, he doesn't have credentials in those areas. And as much as I dislike Gary, he doesn't have credentials. Neither one of them has any experience in manufacturing. They don't have much experience in software. Gary has zero experience in software. Ross, I think, has a tiny bit of experience in software, but not on the level of some of the other people on the board, right? Maybe he was involved in making an app. Maybe he was involved in building some web stuff, but, Ross doesn't have that much. I love Ross, but he just doesn't have that level of experience. Neither one of them has been a CEO, chief operating officer, chief strategy officer, marketing, HR, all the qualifications you see on the board of directors of Tesla. These people have experience running companies, running major operations within companies that make stuff and sell stuff, not just investing. So Amazon is down more than Tesla. Sure, Amazon fell a lot. Expect Warren to grab a spittoon every time he has something nice to say about Gary. So, but anyway, this point is like, okay, well, what is the solution? How does putting Gary or Ross on the board solve the problem of the Tesla stock price being down? Or a stock buyback. This is their pitch now as well. Tesla needs a stock buyback. All right. Let's suppose Tesla did a $5 billion stock buyback. That's less than 1% of the value of the company. So it would be symbolic. Who cares? Your investment grade credit rating happened and that didn't boost the stock. So why do you think a stock buyback is going to boost the stock? Run the company. You know what's going to boost the stock long term? Instead of thinking about next week or next month, end of the year, next quarter, if you're thinking long term, you know what's going to make the stock go up? Making more cars, selling more cars, making more mega packs and power walls and solar, selling more mega packs, more power walls and more solar, getting FSD to work, getting bot to work, getting Dojo to work, and they're working on all that stuff. And no one on the board is going to change any of that. So if you think that Tesla needs a PR team, that like somehow a board member is going to get in there and they're going to install a PR team because a board member says so. And really, what are you saying when you say Tesla's board needs to be more active? What you're really saying is, I don't like the way Elon is running the company, and I want the board to control Elon. Well, I like the way Elon's running the company, and I don't want the board to get in his way, and I like the board supporting what he's doing, and I love how Robin Denholm spoke at the shareholder meeting, and I don't think a Gary Black or a Ross Gerber adds value on the board. They just don't. And, there's a risk also that you've got these guys who have significant presences on YouTube and Twitter, or active on social media, getting inside information and accidentally revealing that inside information or intentionally revealing that inside information, which is something you don't want them to do. So it doesn't make sense. But I just want to get back to this point that The real thing that's going on that leads to all this talk is that there are people who are not happy that the stock is down. And like, by the way, I'm not unhappy that the stock is down. I would like the stock to be higher. I would feel wealthier if the stock was higher, right? I own a lot of Tesla stock, and I would feel wealthier if the stock was higher. But I'm not really worried about that because I'm not selling tomorrow. I'm planning on holding my stock for 5 or 10 years. I can't say that, circumstances won't change that, but I don't have any plans on selling stock anytime soon. And I honestly, I think there's a chance I'm going to be buying stock again in February when my house sells. It's at January, February, something like that. I hopefully will get a sale of my house and close on the sale, and I'll, be able to buy like $100,000 more Tesla stock. Keep the price down as long as you can. I want to get as much as I can. And, I'm looking down the road. Chris Anderson said, didn't Galley suggest Tesla is fairly valued at $600 billion? Trillions in valuation isn't happening until 2030. I don't follow Galley anymore. I like Galley. I don't follow his channel anymore. He's an inspiration. Just to be clear, Galileo Russell Hyperchange was one of my inspirations for doing my YouTube channel, and I think he's great. I don't know what he said about fairly valued at $600 billion. I don't agree with that. I think the $1 trillion valuation is happening. I don't like making short-term predictions, but if Tesla continues to grow at the pace that they're growing, if they grow energy at 150 to 200% a year, if they grow vehicles at 50% a year, if they deliver on FSD and Dojo and bot starts happening, then I think the market, the true value of the company is already over $1 trillion, and the true value of the company will be $2, $3, $4 trillion within a few years. I can't control what the stock market's going to do. John Taylor says, Warren, can we expect a new Gigafactory before the end of the year? We were supposed to have, my recollection is we were supposed to have a Gigafactory announcement before the end of the year. So it's possible we will still get that. It's also possible that's going to be delayed. I think that the next Gigafactories that will be announced will probably be for the next generation platform, the Robotaxi platform. It's possible they'll announce a second Gigafactory to produce Cybertruck. I think they're going to need more than one factory to produce Cybertruck. I could be wrong about that. I think that the demand for Cybertruck is probably going to be in excess of 1 million vehicles a year, because that's what Ford F-150 delivers in a good year. And Dodge Ram and Chevy Silverado, or whatever they're calling their pickups, I think collectively they're 3 million plus a year. When you add those to the Toyotas and maybe the Honda Ridgeline or whatever, I think that you're going to see that the market for Cybertruck is so big that there's probably room for a second Cybertruck factory, probably in the U.S. My guess would be Kansas to be near the Panasonic 4680 factory, but that's just a guess. But we should see an announcement of the Robotaxi platform vehicles soon. But, by the end of the year, I think that plan was dependent on Elon not being... Look, Elon is... The timing of when the factories will be built is not affected by Elon being involved with Twitter, but the announcement might be delayed. Who knows? Elon says something's going to happen by the end of the year. It's Elon time. We know that. Hitting every member. James Brykinson says he's getting every asshole family member a share of Lucid for Christmas. That's a very nice gift. Oh, have I seen auto expert John Cadigan poo-pooing the semi? There's a few people who've been criticizing the semi. John Cadigan, Brianne Wu, or whatever. People who don't know what they're talking. John Cadigan is a joke. I haven't seen their criticisms yet. I'm probably going to take a look at a couple. I think Thunderfoot. I think he also has criticism of Tesla semi. It's pretty clear that Tesla semi is awesome. And these guys are full of crap. And the industry is really, really excited about Tesla Semi. And it's very clear that Tesla's made some very good decisions on Tesla Semi. And I have a friend, it's an online friend, who works for Tesla testing Semi. And he is, 100%. This is a guy who drove diesel semis for a living. He drives for Tesla. He drives diesel semis and compares them to Tesla Semi. And it's off the charts good. So this is going to be amazing. Thunderfoot's video is funny. Of course, Thunderpussy's video is funny. He's a comedian. He's not an intellectual. Where are we? I'm going to wrap this up in about 5 minutes, and we're going to move over to the other platform. Again, when this video is done in about 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to switch over to the Daily Lie Daily Lie is a reference to the media and government lying to us. It's primarily a reference to this is sort of intended to be the New York Times font, but it's really a critical of all media. And the media not telling us the truth, and the general idea of the Daily Lie is I talk about how we're being lied to, and on a daily basis. And of course, the part of the lie is that I haven't been doing it on a daily basis. So I want to get to the point where I can do that. I'm getting settled into this new space, and I probably will start making more regular videos on that topic. I'm still like got junk all over the place. Still not done moving in. Still think I should debunk Adam something. Adam hates everything or something. Yeah, there's a bunch of, I could make videos tearing apart all these anti-Tesla stuff, and I do make the videos some of the time. I actually have a video coming. John Stossel, who's somebody I used to love, and I still really like him. He's a libertarian talking head on the news. Used to be on Fox News. I forget who he's on now. And he did a 2-part series on electric vehicles, and I'm going to rip that apart soon. I have the file on my computer. I have another video coming about space, about Mars missions with Peter Haig. That's going to be next. That'll be in a day or two. That should be up. Yeah, the economics of semi is off the charts good. What we don't know yet about semi is what are they going to sell them for? I don't think they can sell Tesla semi 500-mile range vehicle for $180,000. I think it's got to be at least $250,000, and it's probably worth $400,000 or $500,000 to a buyer, because it saves the trucking company in the ballpark of $50,000 a year for 10 years. Maybe it's $30,000 a year for 8 years, whatever. It saves them a ridiculous amount of money. Stossel would open your smile. If I could get Stossel to come on my channel and do an interview, that would help. But I don't know that I'm going to get a lot of Stossel supporters to watch the video. We'll see. It's worth a shot. I'm going to make the video anyway. I don't think Stossel went to the dark side. I think he just lost his... I don't think he has the right sources of information, and, I don't think he's going to listen to me. I replied to him, and he didn't respond. Do I know what Hank Green has against Elon? I don't even know who Hank Green is. Let's see. Twitter files. Oh, yeah, Twitter files. Thank you. Let's get into that. I could be so bad at this. Thank you. We're going to talk about Twitter files next. So, Twitter files part 4. What's going on with Twitter files is journalists Matt Taibbi, Barry Weiss, and now Michael Schellenberger are breaking down. Elon released all Twitter's internal files, or at least, Slack channel, whatever, released all these files. Oh, what did I do? And so I wanted to go through and see. I think one of the things that's coming, what they've done so far is they've done just a sort of a general reveal of what was going on inside Twitter, and how they were misrepresenting to the public how they were censoring people, and how they were distorting the perception of information in society. So what's coming is, and Elon mentioned this, what's coming is that they've debunked, they've talked about just general censorship, and how the censorship tends to be against Republican accounts or right-leaning accounts and maybe libertarian accounts, and not censoring very much left-leaning accounts. We've gotten a lot of detail about people who were involved in this, like Yo-Yo L. Roth, who 2014 said he wasn't going to wear his mask, and his mother was mad at him or something for the Ebola virus when he went somewhere. And the way they've handled like transgender issues on the platform, and libs of TikTok on the platform. And then they've done a lot on January 6th on what happened with Trump and banning Trump, and that's been what's been going on now. And Elon has said that the COVID files have been coming. And there was one thing, I don't think I have it in here. This is Elon's tweets. There's a Stanford professor who's an expert in the field of, I think, epidemiology, who was part of a group called the Great Barrington Declaration, who was very critical of COVID lockdowns and shutting down schools. And they talk about that in the All In pod. And they censored this guy. They restricted the reach of his tweets. They basically stepped in to interfere with an open scientific discussion of what should be done about COVID. And the end result was that schools were locked down, and kids were kept home from school, and kids suffered greatly. And I think we're going to see a lot on that. So Aaron Murray says, when will we get the Twitter files on COVID? The info on the suspension of many doctors and scientists who was involved, suppression of what has turned out to be factual information. And Elon says, oh, it is coming big time. So it's coming. We're going to find out about how they did that. Another little detail is that apparently right about now, I don't know if he meant, maybe it's like 2.5 hours from now, Twitter's about to update their stack, their software stack, and they're going to take out the bots. So Twitter should get a lot better. He said it's getting faster. He said Twitter's getting faster. Is that up here? I think that's down below. Twitter is speeding up. They're going to increase the character limit from 280 characters to 4,000 characters, so your tweets can be longer. He talked about bots and trolls. The bots and trolls generate fake activity, so Twitter may seem a little less lively, but it's just that the fakery is gone. He said it would be no later than noon, which probably means 3 p.m. Eastern, which is like 2.5 hours from now, 2 hours and 15 minutes from now. Then somebody like this says that 99% of this stuff is public knowledge, especially if one time is a long-time Twitter user. One of the defenses that the media said is, oh, all this stuff that they're revealing we already knew to be true. No, they all lied to us and told us it wasn't true. So... oh, this is the one. There's this guy, Yo-Yo L. Roth, and he was in charge of content moderation for Twitter. He wrote a PhD thesis about Grindr, which is a gay dating app, says he hates kids, sympathized with teachers having sex with students, wanted to give kids access to porn, called Trump and GOP literal Nazis, colluded with the FBI and banned only conservatives, and he became Twitter's chief censor. And Elon says, good question, how did that happen? And, this story is breaking. Matt Taibbi's breaking the story, and the media is not covering this story. The New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the major media, CNN, whatever, they're not covering what Elon is revealing, what Elon and these journalists are revealing about what happened. And he said, oh, yeah, because the media was in on the scandal, and Elon says it's on target. So there's just a lot of stuff here coming. And Elon describes... Twitter is both a social media company and a crime scene. He posted this meme of Twitter, the grave of Twitter's darkest secrets, and this is what Elon's face looks like when he uncovers them. So I would encourage you to go on Twitter and follow. Here's Elon pointing out that Yoel Roth was arguing in favor of children being able to access adult internet services in his PhD thesis. It's pretty freaky, and he tweeted back in 2010, this is Yoel Roth, can high school students ever meaningfully consent to sex with their teachers? No. It's not a question. Oh, it's just so crazy. So I would encourage you to check out Twitter and see what's going on Twitter. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift over to the Daily Lie. Daily Lie, t-shirts at elonbits.com, other t-shirts at elonbits.com. Check out my other videos. Support me on Patreon, Locals, and especially on Locals, but also as a YouTube channel member. But please support me especially on Locals. We're going to head over there now. Please like this video, share, and subscribe. And thank you, everybody, so much for watching. See you in a minute on the Daily Lie.